Governor Rick Perry is asking the Texas legislature to impose drug testing for people on welfare and those receiving unemployment benefits.
Every dollar that goes to someone who uses it inappropriately is a dollar that can't go to a Texan who needs it for housing, for child care, or for medicine.
The proposal also bans welfare recipients from using public funds to buy alcohol.
I don't have a major problem with this, actually. The testing itself, I mean, if people are going to be getting government subsidies for whatever the reason, then having to be drug tested doesn't strike me as something that's that intrusive. I'm not a huge government program guy in the first place, but if you're getting money from the government, it seems to me that they're allowed to know whether you're doing drugs or not.
I think trying to get back to work and trying to get them to be productive so they can produce for their family and be better advocates for their family. And you can't do that if you're on drugs. You can't get a job if you're on drugs.
California is a golden state of opportunity. It has a thriving world economy, yet it has large concentrations of poverty. Thousands of people of color are excluded from economic opportunity because of racist policies that limit communities of color.
My mom made the effort to kind of move away, but these sort of like conditions or whatever like follow us, like they're not gonna go away. So we ended up moving into another part, which was in El Rio, and then the same thing. Like I didn't really see much of a difference. And then I guess like at that point you kind of realize that no matter where you go, you're gonna only be able to afford so much, and it's those sorts of things that kind of like follow those sorts of circumstances. So because my mom only makes so much money, she could only afford a certain amount of rent, which kind of exposes you to like certain kind of conditions. So I feel like she's tried so hard all of her life to like kind of escape poverty, but she couldn't really get away from it. And I guess now she's just kind of settled in like that sort of circumstance in Ventura. So that community as of now is pretty disproportionate with like the sort of health things that people have to go through. We live by the highway, which is where all like, there's a park around there, so kids kind of go there to play, but it's kind of sad to see a bunch of like kids playing together, and it's like right next to a freeway, which is first off a hazard, and then second of all they're kind of exposed to like a lot of fumes and these toxins from cars. So
Do you see that there's a lot of economic opportunities?
My community is like working class. It's all working class folks, and it's hard to get out of the positions that many families are in my community. It's kind of like once you're there, yeah, it's hard to get out of the situation. I don't think there's many opportunities, especially for the youth.
And why do you think that?
Well, I mean, there's a reason that my parents put me in other schools was because the Linwood Unified and the public school system in Linwood is really bad. And they're just like under-resourced, lack of access to different things like college-oriented stuff. You know what I mean? Like college isn't really seen as like the goal, I guess, because a lot of us aren't told that we can go. And like I guess my parents thought I would escape that by sending me to private schools, but I didn't escape that at all. Like if anything, I got a lot of shit every day for being from where I was from, and teachers didn't encourage me. I wasn't expected to go very far. Unless, like, there were a couple teachers that really got to know me, and they encouraged me, and they like, made me feel good about who I am as a person, and made me feel like I could accomplish my goals, but, generally, like, on the grander scale of things, like, I didn't receive a lot of encouragement. Like, the resources were there, but they weren't there for me. You know what I mean? Like, the resources were there for, like, the white girls in AP classes who were applying to Ivy Leagues. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't even encouraged to apply to UCLA right out of high school. Like, I had said that was my goal, and my counselor at the time discouraged me, and I ended up going to community college. Yeah, because, I mean, for different reasons.
Communities of color are pushed into poverty. For these communities, the best alternative is selling drugs. Installed policies racially target these communities, and police surveillance is high in these communities. When drug dealers are caught, they are imprisoned, and once out of prison, their economic opportunities are even more limited. Thus, the cycle of poverty intensifies with the war on drugs.
My brother, I think he did a lot of that because he was placed in a position that if he wasn't going to provide income for the house, he was going to have to leave. So I think like me understanding a little bit better about what it is that our communities have to do to make it by. I don't shame him as like much for it now because I kind of understand like there isn't much you can do. Like the only way you can get a job in Ventura County is if you know somebody. If somebody's like hiring, they're only gonna hire people they know. So we're kind of left at a disadvantage. So what are the other things that are left to do? And then that was like most of the times drugs. So my brother, I didn't really understand the logistics because I was younger. But from what I saw, a lot of it was people would come to the door that I didn't know. And my brother would always say like, oh, they're just a friend. And so then they would go into the room and after like an hour or something, they would kind of like leave. Or there would be sometimes where people like send packages to my brother and then it's like, my dad would ask questions and they would kind of argue and then they'd get into a fight.
The war on drugs works perfectly within the racial system in America. People of color are first made vulnerable through policies that limit their opportunities. These communities are pushed to selling profitable drugs, and once they are placed in that trap, the judicial system is able to complete its goal and it imprisons a mass amount of people of color.
Now that like I have a lot of my friends that are doing, I guess, more academic understandings and like the role that drugs has played out in our lives, like I could definitely see like before even drugs were exposed to our communities, like we've been poor, and now that like drugs have been added to it, like it just kind of like keeps us in the cycle that like never really ends. And it sucks like if I could like, I know for sure like maybe being older and more successful, whatever. I definitely do want to go back to like these communities that I like grew up in and like provide something for like teenagers and kids to do something else, like whether it's like a youth center or something. Because it sucks like we never had that. Like if you were gonna have fun, like you're gonna play in the street where we didn't have a sidewalk, and like I don't know, get close to like getting hit by a car. Like I actually got hit by a car once when I was like trying to learn how to skateboard, and then I don't know, just provide alternatives for people. Cause like people can talk like really badly and shine negative light on our communities because we do drugs and like drugs are in it, whatever. But I don't think they talk about the drugs that other people do. Like, I don't know, because I'm sure there's like high-end form of drugs, and I'm sure like rich people go to like their doctors to get prescribed like painkillers because they're addicted to that drug too. And like, I don't know, it just kind of sucks.